Okay, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Okay, folks, welcome back. We're looking at a ratio question now. Clip 94, grade C, Maths Watch CD. Here's my student. So we're looking at this question. Question number 1. Tom and Julie share £48 in the ratio 5 to 3. How much does each person get? Okay, how much does each person get? That's the question. Now, let's have a look at the technique. First of all, this is a ratio question that involves division. So the first part, right down here, part 1, or step 1, we have to add the ratios up to find out how many parts there are altogether. Because for every 5 parts Tom gets, Julie gets 3 parts. So when we look at it and think about it in that way, we already can easily see that there's going to be 8 parts altogether that we need to divide our £48 into. So that's part 1. So part 1 involves addition. Okay, so part 1 is all about adding. Part 2 is about dividing. So what are we going to divide? We're going to start back with the original question. The original question had a value of 48. So we can get our 48 and we're going to divide it by the answer to part 1. Answer to part 1 is 8. So we say 48 is divided into 8 parts. So that will give you £6 per part. Okay, so that's the answer to the second step, or part 2. So now if you look at part 3, so part 3 involves multiplying. So what we're going to look at now, we're going to look at the original ratio, which is 5 to 3. So right down here, 5. So now, part 3, what we're going to get the answer to part 2, and we are going to multiply each part of the ratio by the answer. So we're going to do 6 times by 5. So 6 times by 5 will give us a total of 30. Okay. The next one is 6 times by 3. So the answer to part 2 multiplied by the second leg of the ratio, second part of the ratio. Okay. So 6 times by 3 will give us 18. So now we know what each person gets. We know that Tom, which is the first part of the ratio, so Tom gets £30 and Julie gets £18. Okay, that's the end of that question. This is a non-calculated question. It involves nice simple numbers, but there are questions in the exercise which involve calculator too, but the technique is the same. Part 1, we add the ratio together, add it. Part 2, we divide the original question number, which is £48, the value in the question, by the answer to part 1, which was 8. So 48 divided by 8 in this case was 6. Part 3, the third step and last step, we have to multiply the answer to part 2 by the original ratio each side, and that gives us the answer for each part. Thank you very much for joining us in the video, and see you in the next one. Thank you.